Hello again everyone and welcome to Curious Coffee. I know, it's been a while. Truth is, I've been working hard towards evolving into my final form, Ultra Megalo Hipster. Today, we're going to pick up where we last left off and talk about light roast versus dark roast and just coffee roast level in general. Feel free to watch my last video explaining what coffee is to catch up. Roast level in coffee has been a hot topic for quite some time. And depending on your source, the answers can be misleading. For many, the strength of coffee is dependent solely on the roast level. Dark roast lovers will sometimes say that dark roasts are stronger because they taste stronger. And light roast advocates will say that because their favorite coffee is roasted less, it preserves much of the caffeine that gets roasted out of darker coffee. So, who's right? None of them, actually. This is raw, unroasted coffee. This is a light roast, medium, and dark. Let's suppose that these slices of bread correspond to each stage of coffee. Now, by the dark roast lover's logic, this slice of bread is going to be stronger and maybe more filling than this slice of bread because, well, it tastes stronger. Don't look at me like that. Look, I get it. It's weird to talk about bread strength. But the truth is, just like coffee, this bread hasn't changed. It's just been cooked longer. These misconceptions happen all the time. For instance, many beer drinkers believe that Guinness is stronger than most other beers because of the taste. But truly, its ABV is a bit less than even Budweiser. Now, as far as caffeine being roasted out during a longer roasting process, well, that's also not true. Any significant variation would require a roasting temperature above 600 degrees Fahrenheit. Since temperatures rarely exceed 470 degrees Fahrenheit, a bean's caffeine content remains relatively static across all roast levels. Even though a bean's caffeine content changes little during roasting, a bean's caffeine per volume and per weight is altered considerably. Not because the caffeine changes, but because the size and weight of the beans change. The longer the bean is held in the roaster, the darker in color, lighter in weight, and larger in size it becomes. Let me show you. Every single one of these is the exact same weight. This is 12 ounces of unroasted coffee. This is 12 ounces of our light roast dogma. This is 12 ounces of a medium roast coffee, and this is 12 ounces of a French roast coffee. So, when do differences in caffeine content come into play? This happens when roasted coffee is measured for brewing or packaging. Since a bean loses weight, mainly water, during roasting, its caffeine content by weight increases while its caffeine content by volume decreases. Confused yet? Let's put this principle into practice by measuring some coffee. Dark roast coffees measured by volume with a scoop actually contain fewer coffee beans due to their larger size, resulting in a weaker brew and less caffeine per cup than a light roast coffee measured in the same manner. Bottom line, you're not getting the most from a dark roast coffee if you measure it by volume. On the other hand, dark roasted coffees measured by weight require more coffee beans for brewing since each bean weighs less than a coffee bean that has been roasted lighter, resulting in a much more full-flavored brew and a little more caffeine per cup than a light roast. The real question ultimately is if the difference in caffeine is even enough for your body to react differently. At Paper Plane, it's all about flavor. You can get coffee with similar dark notes just about anywhere. We want you to have something different. Because of our direct relationships with growers, exporters, and importers, we're able to acquire super fresh coffee from all sorts of growing regions, varietals, and processes. Don't get me wrong, dark roasted coffee is nostalgic for many, and for some, the only way coffee should taste. Who doesn't remember taking a sip of their parents' or grandparents' sludge and almost choking? I think most of us made ourselves love coffee somehow, whether it was dousing it in cream, sugar, or whiskey. I mean, flavors. I'm convinced, however, that if coffee didn't have caffeine in it, no one would drink it. From a roaster's perspective, dark roasted coffee is also the easiest way to roast for a consistent profile. After a certain level of roasting, most of the delicate natural flavors have been replaced by over-caramelized sugars. To bring back the toast analogy, this toast could have been anything. Honey wheat, cinnamon, raisin, but the main tasting notes will now all be the same. For that reason, I believe it's one of the most common forms of roasting for coffee. There's a historical reason for it though, but we'll get into that in our next episode. Thanks again for watching. I'd love for you to like, comment, ask questions, or even follow for more content like this. I'm Jonathan Echeverry, and this was Curious Coffee.